Hello, and I just wanted to bring this video to you to tie up what we've been talking about this week in terms of the topic of men and women are not the same, and I wanted to start helping to connect the dots to all of the things that we've been addressing, not just this week but over the last few years. So I've titled this video Broken Homes, Broken Churches, Broken World. And if you look at the whole counsel of what we've been saying, which we've got from the Word, you will see that a broken home produces a broken church, which contributes to a broken world. And I'm not delusional enough to think that I'm the best person to speak on these issues. I'm not married. I don't have my own family. And so I would say that I'm not best qualified, but guess what? Jeremiah wasn't qualified either. I'm not comparing myself to him, but God, he qualifies the called. He doesn't necessarily call the qualified. And so my aim and our aim is to get family on the agenda, to get all of the men and women of God who are in position to make change and to make difference, to talk about family and to prioritize it, even as God has prioritized it. We do see that in the book of Genesis, the first institution that God ordained was marriage and the family. And we see that the first thing the devil attacked was that institution. So family is of priority to God. And as I've said before, Jesus came and he came in a family and was in that family for 30 years until he started his ministry. So it behooves us to make family a priority and to not only teach it, but to practice the things that the Bible has told us to practice in the order they have told us to practice them in. What I will say is that many of you might not understand. You might just think ranting and raving and just creating a fuss for no reason. That's fine. But when it starts to rain, you'll know why we're building an ark. If you look at the situation of the world right now, and you look at the agendas that are being pushed by the media and by the powers that be, I think there was the American comedian Ricky Smiley put out a meme saying that, they will send a boy home from school, I think, for having dreadlocks, but then they will celebrate a boy who is becoming transgender. And this was around the whole, I think, issue with Dwayne Wade's son, the basketball player, transitioning at the age of 12 into a girl. Now, if you cannot see the hypocrisy of that and understand there is a satanic agenda behind what is going on, then I don't know what world you live in, because at 12 years old, you cannot drink alcohol, you can't drive a car, there's many other things you're not allowed to do, but you're allowed to transition your gender. This is an attack on humanity. This is an attack on mankind. And if we cannot understand and connect the dots and see that the devil is trying to establish an antichrist order, he's trying to establish the beast system, and if we can't see that this is impacting even our very own homes, our lives, our churches, and have a right response, then I don't know what we're calling ourselves Christians in the church for. And so I want to take you to Matthew 24:37, and it says, "As in the days of Noah were, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be." Genesis 6:5 says, "And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually." If you go down to Genesis 6:11, "The earth was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way on earth." All flesh had corrupted his way on earth. And as we know, this preceded the flood. God was so sick of what humanity had become and what it had done to itself, that he restarted the world basically with one family. And so now we see transgenderism, even transhumanism. Now, if you look into Baphomet, this is the god of the LGBT movement, and various celebrities have demonstrated the allegiance to this god. This god, small g, is a goat with male and feminine body parts. A transhuman species. See, we can't even understand. The transgender is just part of it. There's a whole transhumanism thing coming. Now, I'm not going to get into Genesis 6 and the book of Enoch, because many people have many opinions on that. But understand, as in the days of Noah, so shall it be before the coming of the Son of Man. So it's time to get our mind in gear. We've said a lot this week, and I do encourage you to look into what we've been saying for the past couple of years about the order of God, about the family, about the need for strong families, about men and women being equal in the sight of God and equally valuable, but not equal in responsibility, because we're not the same. We don't have the same body parts. We don't have the same responsibility. And that's clear from the book of Genesis right up until the book of Revelation. But today, I want to bring to you Isaiah 3. And I don't think I'm going to say much on this. I want to read you an introduction to the chapter from the John Gill exposition. And it says this: in this chapter, the Jews are threatened with various calamities on account of their sins, which would issue in their entire ruin and destruction. They are threatened with a famine, with a removal of useful men in church and state and in common life, with ignorant and effeminate governors, the consequences of which would be oppression and insolence. Yea, that such would be their state and condition, that men, though naturally ambitious of honour, would refuse to have the government of them. The reasons of these calamities and of this ruin and fall of them are their evil words and actions against the Lord, which were highly provoking to him, and their impudence in sinning like Sodom was to their own harm. Yet in the midst of all of this, it is the will of God that the righteous should be told it shall be well with them, with the reason of it, when it shall be ill with the wicked, and as a just recompense of reward. Let me read that again. Yet in the midst of all of this, it is the will of God that the righteous should be told it shall be well with them, with the reason of it, when it shall be ill with the wicked, as a just recompense of reward. The errors and mistakes of the people are attributed to their childish and effeminate governors. Wherefore the Lord determines to plead their cause and contend with their elders and rulers, because they had spoiled and devoured the poor. And particularly the women are threatened for their pride and luxury to have their ornaments taken from them, which are particularly mentioned. And the chapter is concluded with a prophecy that their mighty men should perish by the sword in war, and the city should be desolate. I'm not going to read the whole chapter. I want you to read the whole chapter, study the background to the chapter, read it in context. But I want to read verses 1 to 14, and follow me if you can. For behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water, the mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet, and the prudent and the ancient, the captain of 50 and the honourable man, and the counsellor, the cunning artificer, and the eloquent orator. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them, and the people shall be oppressed, every one by another, and every one by his neighbour. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honourable. When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let this ruin be under thy hand. In that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be an healer. For in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. For Jerusalem is ruined and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord, to provoke the eyes of his glory, to show off their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Say ye to the righteous that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hands shall be given him. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. The Lord standeth up to plead, and standeth to judge the people. The Lord will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people, and the princes thereof, for ye have eaten up the vineyard. The spoil of the poor is in your houses. I try sometimes to be dispassionate, but I can't be, because I can't watch and stand idly by while I see generations and generations being destroyed at the hand of the enemy, because we won't, as a people, judge ourselves. Peter said that judgment starts at the house of God, and it behooves us to make and to do a forensic analysis of ourselves as people of God, and to see in what way our lives and the way we have been living our lives are wrong. Now, if we were in a state of revival and it was raining on our churches, I'm not saying every church is not necessarily in a state of revival, but I'm just talking about the churches that I'm around and I frequent, and it might seem like an indictment, but you know, if I'm lying, then if we are in a state of revival, forgive me, but I don't see it. I see more and more young people leaving church. I see more and more divorces. I see more and more broken homes, and I can't reconcile that with what I see in the book. And so I can't be dispassionate when I'm watching people literally die physically and spiritually, and the Bible is showing us that we're out of order. And so this is why this week we've chosen to speak about this issue in particular, when it comes to this particular part of order in the house of God, in terms of the role of men and the role of women. We see here that God is judging Israel, and because of the calamity that is falling upon Israel, because of the curses that is falling upon them, the order of the roles have been reversed. Children are oppressing. Children are, or kids or immature people are running the church, so to speak, and women are ruling over them. It's not an attack on women, it's an attack on the order that should be set. Whereas women should be helping, because that's their role as a helpmeet. If you don't believe that, you're not a Christian. Whereas women should be giving birth to great leaders. They have taken the position of leadership. Whereas they should be being Deborahs, helping the men. They are trying to be the man. And then you have men who are effeminate, who are sitting back while allowing women to take the load which they was never given the right authority, destiny or purpose to do. And so it's time that we get ourselves back in order. We need strong families. The world is not going to be envious of a church full of broken homes and broken families and disorder. You want to know why men don't come to church? Men ain't following women. No real man is. And real women want to be led by a real man. And so we need to come together and get it right. And that is the purpose of this topic. It's not to offend. It's not to cause harm. It's not to upset people. But we ain't going to hold back the truth and watch people die because of a rebellious and haughty and prideful spirit. We need to humble ourselves before the mighty hand of God. And we need to call on him. We need to seek his face and turn from our wicked ways. And pray that he will hear from heaven and not just forgive our sin, but heal our lands. We need a healing to come in our homes first. And then God can heal everything around us. That's all I have to say. Stay close to Christ. God bless you.
Thanks to the God of gods, man. Yeah. Come on, man. Put the hands together.